Looking back now at the intense 4 First Alert 6 weather days, 4 of those days for you. The National Weather Service confirming 3 tornadoes in Nebraska on Sunday alone. The first touched down near Winnebago and ran about 2 miles crossing Highway 75. It was only on the ground for about 3 minutes.
Now, this next one struck a lake community north of Ashland about 45 minutes later. It ran about 3/4 of a mile with about 104-mile-per-hour winds. NWS staff says it touched down on the west side of the lake before heading over the water, hitting a few homes and then continuing east. Now, just minutes later, we brought you live pictures from that lake community. We saw one home with the roof torn completely off and windows blown out. More rain fell during all of that, causing all sorts of water damage inside. Our crews even saw a large chunk of dock seemingly blown out of the lake and into the street.
The third tornado ran just south of Plattsmouth. NWS investigators say it was on the ground for about 2 minutes with a peak wind speed of about 104 miles per hour. No injuries were reported, but a few homes, trees, and grain containers were damaged.
And we just learned a number of tornadoes were confirmed from last night as well.
Yes, Chief Meteorologist Matt